Hello friends. In this lecture we will discuss about the poem The Felling of the Banyan Tree written by Dilip Chitre. Dilip Purushottam Chitre was one of the foremost Indian poets and critics to emerge in the post-independence India. Apart from being a very important bilingual writer written in Marathi and English, he was also a teacher, a painter, filmmaker, and a magazine columnist. He won the Sahitya Academy Award for his Marathi poetry and his English translation of the great saint poet Tukaram. The Felling of Banyan Tree is a poem about the cutting of a centuries old mythical banyan tree, shifting from Baroda to Mumbai, leaving behind the memories and remembrance connected with the old paternal ancestral house where he grew up and passed his days, even though the scenes and sights appeared to be more familiar and related to personally. Soon after the decision, the site gets cleared off, bearing the brunt of destruction and devastation, wiping out the familiar images. The poet, through this poem, indirectly talks about the clearing of forests, changing ecology and environment, while on the other rampant urbanization, concretization, and mad craze for job and employment. What are we doing after all? Where are we going to? None think about, none cares for. Mythically, we take it the banyan tree connected with Savitri and Satyavan, and the peepal tree with Gautam Buddha. But without referring to, the poet says the cutting of banyan green trees does not go in our favor as they are good for many purposes and are connected with our life and existence. Tree shades us from heat and direct sun rays falling on and oxygen as well as fruits to eat. It takes time to grow, but to cut it is so easy. If you see from a different angle, it is an eco-centric poem predicting environmental hazards and greenhouse effects and their bearing upon human being. The father of the poet orders the tenants of the rented houses on fair to vacate them as for the structures to be demolished and the land to be cleared forth, and thereafter the woodcutters start cutting the trees and clearing the landscapes. The spot, but to clear it all of a sudden not so easy as it takes time to establishing something, and so the time in deserting it. To create something is difficult, but destroy is easier than. The cutter starts cutting the trees one by one, and the laborers working upon the demolishing the structure one by one, even going against the words of the grandmother that the trees are sacred. Do not cut them, as has been said by the patriarch and saints alike. The Sheoga, the Audumber, and the neem trees are felled, but the huge banyan tree stands still just like a problem whose roots deeper than our life. Even after being unmindful of all that, the trees are massacred. The sole remnant house to tumbles and goes away crumbling and crushing down. The banyan tree is three times bigger than the house. So huge, tall, mighty and sturdy with the scratchy aerial roots hanging all around, shady and bird nested. With a 50-feet circumference trunk, the banyan is not so easy to tumble it down. The cutters start first cutting the branches and the twigs from the 30 feet above the canopy. With the stroke of the axe, the chopper falling, birds start leaving the nest in order, and the astonishment as for being dismantled soon with so much hullabaloo and commotions and pandemia. Clearing and cutting the branches and aerial roots, they being sowing them, and place turns into the heap of the lawn, giving a peculiar look as the landscape takes a queer turn, wearing a trunks look difficult to be recognized and to be familiar with. Finally, they came down the bus to clear forth and take time in chopping it, striking at the root to cut into, crack the trumble it down. Some 50 men are engaged to doing it. The great tree, some 200 years old, with their rings within the circumference, lies it fallen, saying it all about this wasteland of ours, arid and sterile, modern landscapes and scenery bereft of greenery and vegetation. The poet, together with others, see the slaughter and desertion and feel the plight in horror spellbound and speechlessly what it has taken place, what is has befallen. Some afterwards they pack up the things and leave from Bombay for better prospects, where there are but skyscrapers and congested flats, where their trees are not, where the springs come with not with flowers, where man remains concerned only with job mechanically. It is an autobiographical poem, being Dilip Chitre exploration of time when he was uprooted from Baroda to the city Mumbai. So the banyan tree is a metaphor for life, for the familial upheaval, and the man responsible for the move is none other than the father, representing all that is masculine, dominant, forward looking, and destructive. Contrast this with the traditional knowledge of the grandmother, representing all that is feminine, the past, nurturing, religious, and converse, conversative. The patriarchal versus matriarchal theme is central of the poem. The speaker appearing to favor a latter but is helpless to stop the inevitable movements of progress as applied by the father. In this poem, the speaker has two emotions, terror and fascination. The former based on sadness and fear for the future, the latter on the awesome sight of the massive tree come crushing to the ground, revealing its rings and ancient history. The central theme is uprootedness, the idea of leaving a family home. The secondary theme is of ecosystems and their destruction, especially that of felling tree for profit in the name of progress.